Once you understand how banks do this and that there is a better way, you're going to understand that a mortgage is one of the biggest scams that are out there. And people don't think that there's anything else. So therefore, they're like, oh, I guess I just got to take 30 years to pay off this home. More than likely, you're going to take 40 to 45 years because about every 3 to 5 years, most people refinance and then they start that clock all over again. If you knew there was a way to where you could pay your home off in an average of 5 to 7 years rather than the typical 30 years without changing your income or changing your lifestyle and eating ramen noodles for every meal every day for the next 5 to 7 years, you would want to know how to do that, right? I'm here to help you do that. And if you could pay your house off in only, let's say, 5 to 7 years rather than 30, how much easier do you think you could retire? You would retire faster. You would retire easier. You're going to have so much more flexibility to be able to make more investments and increase the speed in which you would retire. You're not going to have to work for as long. And then all of your income is just extra income. I mean, the possibilities for what you can do once your house is paid for. Everybody's largest bill in their life is the home that they live in. If you can pay that off in only 5 to 7 years, I'm not talking about being a millionaire and being like, oh yeah, I can pay off a $250,000, $300,000 house like nothing. No, I'm talking about regular working class, middle class people being able to put their money to work for themselves and not for the bank. So here's what you need to understand about mortgages and banks. A mortgage, it's federally regulated. So you can pretty much go to any bank, any mortgage lender, and you're going to get the same product. And you know that they're always like, okay, today's rates are around 5.5%, 6%, 7%, whatever it is. You're going to pretty much get the same thing. It's regulated by the government. But what we're talking about is there's only a handful of banks that actually understand and can provide what I'm talking about. And what I'm talking about is refinancing your house and financing your house with a first lien position home equity line of credit, or HELOC. Now, I know what you're thinking. Be like, oh, I know what a HELOC is, or I already have a HELOC. I guarantee you that 99% of the time, every time you hear the word HELOC, they are referring to a second lien position HELOC. That means you still have your mortgage in the first position. You are paying your mortgage every month. And then you then went and got a HELOC so that you have some availability to the equity in your home. So you now have your mortgage and now you have the HELOC. Maybe you're wanting to put in a pool, or you bought an RV, or you wanted to remodel your house, whatever it is. And that's why you tapped in and got that HELOC. But now you're paying for two things. You're paying for the mortgage and you're paying for the HELOC. What I'm talking about is a first position HELOC. Here's your mortgage. Okay. Here's the first position HELOC. When we refinance that thing, we are paying off that mortgage with the equity in your home. We're saying, okay, if you have 10 to 20% at least equity in your home, we're going to say, hey, let's give you a 80 to 90% loan to value. And now we're going to pay off that mortgage. And now we're just going to have a HELOC only paying for that home. Now, how's that going to work? A HELOC is an open it's an open loan. Money can go into it money can come right back out of it. As opposed to a mortgage, you can put money into it. You can put, when you pay your mortgage, you're putting money into it. But the only way you can get money out of that mortgage is if you, one, sell your house, or you do a cash out refi. You probably love your home. You're not interested in selling your house, so you're not going to do that. And if you do a cash out refi, that means you're now restarting the clock over at 30 years all over again. So they've got you either way. They don't care if you have a 2.5% interest rate, whatever, because I'm going to show you later that you're not actually paying 2.5%. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm very passionate about helping people pay their homes off because once you understand how banks do this and that there is a better way, you're going to understand that a mortgage is one of the biggest scams that are out there. And people don't think that there's anything else. So therefore, they're like, oh, I guess I just got to take 30 years to pay off this home. More than likely, you're going to take 40 to 45 years because about every 3 to 5 years, most people refinance and then they start that clock all over again. So a HELOC, it's open ended. You can take money into it, you can take money right out of it every time. So imagine being able to take all of your monthly income, okay? All of your monthly income. Let's say it's $10,000 a month. You bring home as a household, you, your wife, whoever. You bring home $10,000 a month. Your monthly expenses, all of your utility bills, your car payments, you're going out to eat, groceries, whatever it is, all the money that you spend, let's say is $5,000. Well, you brought in 10,000, you spent 5,000. What if that other 5,000 that's left over pays off on your home? That's exactly what we're talking about with a first lien HELOC. Let's say you have a balance of $100,000 on this HELOC. You bring in $10,000, you deposit that. Now your balance is $90,000. Then you need $5,000 to pay your monthly expenses. You take that $5,000 right back out because remember, this is an open-ended loan. Money can come in, money can come out. So you pay that, and at the end of the month, your balance is now $95,000. You started at 100, you deposited 10, made it 90, took 5 back out to pay your expenses, $95,000. If I'm going too fast, pause it, go back. So, essentially what just happened is in 1 month, you just paid off $5,000 on your home towards the principal, $5,000 on your home in 1 month, and you didn't change anything. You made the same amount of money, you paid the same amount of bills, but now you owe $5,000 less. And you still have access to all that $5,000 because it's sitting in that HELOC. If something came up, let's say you had car trouble, okay, you have access to that money. All right, we're just scratching the surface. So what we can do when we get rid of that mortgage and we replace it with a HELOC, if you have at least 10 to 20% equity in your home, we can do this. And so that means we can work with like 80%, 90% loan to value. So we're going to appraise your home. Let's say your home appraises for $400,000 and you have a credit score of 720, 730 or higher. We can probably get you 90% loan to value, which on 400,000, that'd be $360,000. So you would have a line of credit on your house of $360,000. But let's say you only owe $200,000. That means you have $160,000 in your bank account available to you. You can use that to buy a car if you need it. Now you're your own bank. You can use that for investment opportunities, or you can just let it sit there just in case you need it. This is amazing what can happen, but we're going to use all of our monthly income to be able to pay down the house. If you were to use all of your monthly income to try to pay off your mortgage, you'd be broke. What are you going to eat? How are you going to pay your bills? Because you put your money into the mortgage, but you can't take it back out unless you refinance or sell your house. And now you don't have a house. This is, guys, this is so much better. This is life changing and a game changer once you understand it. There is no reason that anyone with decent credit who brings in more than they spend every month and have 10 to 20% or more in equity, there's no reason why anybody should be paying a mortgage. You are getting ripped off on a monthly basis. There is no reason. You're going to save so much more money. And you may be asking, well, I thought HELOC, it's an interest only payment. That's true. Interest only. Oh, I've heard it's variable interest. That's also true. We over here, if you have solid cash flow, positive cash flow, we do not care much at all about what the interest rate is. There's three things to keep in mind. There's time, there's our balance, and then there's the interest rate. A mortgage, pretty much everybody focuses on that interest rate. They're like, oh, yeah, here's your interest rate. They already say it's going to take 30 years, whatever it is. In HELOC, we're focused on the time and the balance. We're not worried about the interest rate. If our cash flow is good enough, don't care. So a HELOC is simple interest. It is simple interest, not compounding interest like a mortgage. Compounding interest with a mortgage is, yeah, you might have a 3.75% interest rate, but that 3.75 interest rate only dictates what your monthly payment is going to be. You are not only going to pay 3.75% interest on your house. So there's a line usually on like page 4 or 5 of your closing disclosure, and I don't mind showing you. In 2016 or 2017, excuse me, my wife and I, we did a cash out refi on our home. And this was on a 30-year mortgage. And I had an interest rate of 3.75%. Loan amount $226,000. Okay. So they show you that on the front page. Yep, 3.75%. There's your interest rate. You feel real good about it. And even when you're at the closing table, that's just, they're like, okay, here's your loan amount, this is your interest rate, this is your monthly payment. That's all they talk about with you at the closing table. Why don't they go all the way back to page 5 and show you this? And even if they did, they're not going to explain what it was. So page 5, you have your loan calculations. So my $226,000 loan, by the time I paid off that entire loan, I will have paid a total of $387,849.76. The amount financed was only $216,903, and you're saying, "Wait, I thought it was $226." Well, this was a VA loan, so I had a VA loan funding fee of like $7,000 or whatever it was in there. But this is what I want you to see. Total interest percentage. This is the actual amount of interest you're paying on your home. Everyone who has a mortgage has this in your closing disclosure. Everybody just thinks, oh, I'm paying 2.25, 2.5, 3, 3.75, whatever it is. You are not. Total interest percentage stands for total interest percentage, which is the total amount of interest that you will pay over the loan term as a percentage of your loan amount. In my case, and I've seen it actually much higher than mine, in my case right here, the total interest percentage that I was paying at that time was 66.886%. Let's go ahead and round it up to 67%. 67% of everything that I paid to the bank on my house, more than half, was interest. With that mortgage, all of that interest is up front. It's so upfront. If you have a $2,000 mortgage, $1,400 of that at the very beginning is probably interest. and like 600 bucks goes to principal. I mean, it's so minute because the bank, they're making sure they get paid first. So in 3 to 5 years, they've already made a lot of their money back. Oh, and then they're probably going to have some kind of promo rate. And they're going to be, hey, come on, let's refinance you. You need cash out? Come on, let's do it again. And then, oh, you'll be like, oh, yeah, I can do a cash out refi. Or, oh, there's a better rate. I can save a point on my interest rate. Let's go refinance. But then they started the clock all over again. And now they're getting more interest and they're starting all over from the very beginning. You're getting hoodwinked. You're falling for the bait every time. Now, let's oppose that with a HELOC. HELOC is simple interest. So let's just say a HELOC right now is about 8%. You're like, man, 8%? What? Be like, remember, it's simple interest. You only pay interest on whatever your balance is. And every time you deposit money, your balance immediately drops. So it recasts every single day. So if today you owe $200,000, you're going to, it'll be factored in over the course of a month how much interest is going to be charged for that day. Well, let's say you get a paycheck of $5,000 and you deposit that. Well, now you owe 195 instead of 2,000. So now you're only going to be charged interest on that 195, to where, again, let's contrast that with a mortgage. You're going to pay the same monthly payment every single month over the course of 30 years if you never refinanced or anything. So as you pay down your HELOC, you pay less in interest. And because it's an interest only payment, that means your payment goes down every single month. So in the example that I used earlier, if you bring home $10,000 a month and you only spend five, your balance is going down by $5,000 a month. Well, that starts to snowball really, really quickly. And that means you're paying less and less and less and less every month. And that means the $5,000 that you had available and your HELOC payment is slower. That means the more money you have left over, that means your cash flow is getting bigger every single month because your balance is going down. It's mind-blowing at how fast this works. This is why my clients, on average, this is legit, on average, they're paying their home off in only 5 to 7 years. I recently met with a couple from Florida, and they had a private business, or they're entrepreneurs, and they're not just making bank. They're blue collar people. And I think if I remember this right, they're older couple or whatever. They brought home about $6,000 a month. Okay. So it's not just earth shattering. Oh, they own a business. They're just killing it, whatever. People need to get it out of their minds that just because somebody owns their own business, they're not loaded. It's a lot of work. So they're just normal people, just like everybody else. And so anyway, I digress. They bring home about $6,000 a month. They owed, I want to say it was 225,000 on their house, and they still owed 25 years on their house. Well, they got with me. I ran their numbers, and even with $6,000 a month, and they had one car payment, and then they had like a credit card. And I did the numbers, and I'm like, hey, yeah, you have enough equity in your home, because their home was worth actually like $600,000, but they only owed 225 on it. So they had a ton of equity available. They had great credit. So I said, yeah, we can get you 90% loan to value on this house of a value of 600,000. So that means that at 90% loan to value of 600,000, that means they're going to get a line of credit for $540,000 that they only have a balance of $225,000 on. They have a ton of money available to them. And this is important for people who, let's say, oh, my house is already paid for. You are sitting on a gold mine and can't touch your gold. You need this. Doesn't mean you have to just go and, have to put your house back up, and refinance it and owe on your house again. But at least you have equity, you have available access to your available equity. So they had that. And because they had that much available to them, I said, hey, you know what? When we go to refinance your house, let's go ahead and pay off this car note that you have. It was like $17,000. Let's go ahead and pay that off. So we paid that off. How much do you owe on that credit card? 7,000. Okay, well, let's go ahead and pay that too. So we added $24,000 to their balance. But what we did was I increased their cash flow because now they no longer have a car payment and they no longer have these credit card payments. I increased the amount that they were paying on both of those. I increased their cash flow by $1,000 a month just by getting rid of those two things. Yes, I increased the balance, but the cash flow was more important. And so when I ran their numbers, even at an 8% average interest rate on a HELOC, they went from owing 25 years on their home to going down to 8 years to pay it off, only on $6,000 a month income. Bring home. That's it. So we're not talking about world beaters. We're talking about $6,000 a month of income, paying off $225,000 in 8 years. And then the gentleman that I was working with, he mentioned, hey, I'm actually, I just got approved for some VA disability or whatever. And he was going to be like 90%. So that he was going to get about, conservatively about another $2,000 a month. And I was like, dude, that is huge. So when I added $2,000 a month into their income, that 8 years payoff went down to 4.1 years. I don't care. You may ask me, well, why don't I just pay extra on my mortgage? You can, but it's still going to take you. You might can, if you did that every month and you paid double on your mortgage, you might cut the payoff time in half. But you don't have that liquidity. You don't have all of that access to your cash. I can pay $5,000 on my house and still have access to that $5,000. Who's got the better deal? I'm paying me rather than paying the bank. All you're doing is giving the bank more money. If you understand fractional lending, for every dollar that you deposit and pay to the bank, it gives them an additional $9 that they can then go and invest and loan out and make more money on. They're making $9 more than you are on your own money. So yeah, they want you to refinance. They want to give you this auto loan. They want to give you this. They want to give you that. And look, there's a time and place for all of that. But if there's a better way to where you can spin it around to where it's in your favor rather than the bank, why would you not want to do that? Seriously, why would you not want to do that? And the amount of interest we're talking about here. So this couple in Florida, they were going to save about $150,000 in interest by going with a simple interest 8% HELOC over their 3.5% mortgage. They're saving $150,000. And all they did was change how they financed their house. So now we're using this first position HELOC as it's our checking account. We're putting all of our money in there. We're pulling the money right back out that we need to pay our bills. The leftover pays down our balance. It's that simple. Guys, this is third grade math. This isn't some kind of, I don't need an abacus over here trying to figure out, okay, carry the one here, and then this interest rate here, and then this over here. It's third grade math. If you know how to add and subtract, you can figure out how long it's going to take you to pay off your home. You know, the number one country in the world for multiple home ownership is Australia. Why is that? That's because they don't do mortgages like we do, to where, oh, it's 30 years and this is just how long it's going to take. They do this system. They do it like a HELOC because they have access to their equity and they're able to put all of their income towards paying off their house. And so they pay off their house so fast that they can go get another one. And then they pay that one off. They do it better than anybody else in the world. And guess what? We used to do it here in America. We used to do this all the time. Back before 1913, when the Federal Reserve was created, this is how we used to do it. If you were a farmer and let's say your farm, back in those days was worth $100,000, which you would have been loaded. You could go, let's say the farmer needed a new piece of equipment, whatever it was, a tractor. I don't even know that we had tractors in like the early 1900s, but either way, needed a new piece of equipment or something. He could go to that bank and say, hey, I need access to some of my equity in my farm because I need a new piece of equipment. And he would just go and get it. There wasn't no refinance process or anything. That was his money. He just had to go and get it. Just like a HELOC. It's your equity. And if you have this first position HELOC, you have it. It's right there. You can literally see it. It's in your bank account right there. There it is. You can write a check. No problem. Got it. You need a new car? Swipe that check. You got it. Paid cash for it. By the way, this method of how you pay for your home, this is what I'm talking about earlier, where you can be your own bank. Let's say you need a new car. You can go pay cash for a $50,000 car. And instead of paying for that over 6 years, the same method works with the car, especially because you took it out of your HELOC. So technically, you rolled that car into your home. And so now all of your income is going into this. And now you're paying off a $50,000 car in 8 months to 10 months, something like that, rather than 6 years. It works no matter what. So I'm very passionate about this. I did this myself 3-4 years ago. Once I did this, I had access to equity, and I always wanted to get into real estate investing. I always, was like, man, I'd like to flip a house, this and that. I got to the point where I owned 3 other houses outside of my own, and I was flipping them, flipped all 3 of them. There's no way I could have done that before. I wanted to put my kids. We tried out private school for a year for my kids, and I was able to just write a check for private school one year, and here you go, got it. My daughter needed braces. Braces aren't cheap. It's all right. I got it. Paid for it. No problem. Had I not had that, I'm like, man, I don't just have $13,000 to pay for a year of school for 2 kids. I did. I did have it all because of that HELOC. I was able to get into real estate investing, and I was able to do that quickly because I had that money available. I could move at any time I needed to. So, what can you do once you have this much money available? You can just, you can buy a car with it, but you can also make investments. So my other videos that I'm talking about, to where you can invest like a bank, that I help people do all the time. There are some people that are like, I don't have $100,000 laying around. Well, you probably do. It's probably in your home, but you just don't have access to it. Well, now you do with a HELOC. If you got $200,000 available to you in your HELOC, you can take $100,000 out of it, put it over into here that I can help you with, make a 15% return on it annually, every year for as many years as you want to stay in, and not even be touching the stock market. So the ways that I can help you not only pay your home off, but then build wealth, all without any of the stock market or anything. Like, just build wealth easily and do it like a bank does. How earlier I was telling you about banks, they make so much money off of you. Take that power from them, put it in your own hand right here, and you can now make money like the bank. You are the bank now. You don't even need a bank anymore. You are your own bank. The possibilities are endless. If you want to know if this can work for you, all you have to do is contact me at forgetwhattheytoldyou.com. Click on the button to book a call with me. and then we'll jump on a Zoom call or Google Meet or whatever, and we're going to run down and see if this works for you. Because let's be honest, I'm going to be honest with you, it doesn't work for everybody. It works for about one out of every three people. And in this day and age, in the economy that we live in, it's expensive. Things are expensive, so not everyone has the proper amount or enough cash flow. But sometimes there, like with this couple in Florida, there are things that I can do. Oh, you got this. Oh, but you have enough equity. Let's pay that. Let's pay that off. Let's get rid of this. There's things that we can do to see if we can make this work for you. Maybe your credit score isn't good enough. It's okay. I can help with that. If you want to do this HELOC, it may take another 6 to 12 months to get you there, but I can already work with you to increase that credit score to be able to get you approved for a 90% loan to value HELOC. If you need to save money, if you need to save money on taxes, you need a better tax strategy. I can help you with that. I'm here to tell you to forget what they told you. They told you that the only way to pay for a house is with a 30-year mortgage. They told you that the only way to finance a car is through the credit union or something like that and spend 5, 6, 7 years to do it. They told you that the only way to retire is to put all of your money in the stock market and then just hope it works out okay. Not everyone is a seasoned trader and understands how to read a candle chart. But with the strategies that I help my clients, you don't have to know that. You just make steady, predictable wealth and income every single month with no risk because you have contracts, you have liens, you have collateral in place, and you have a HELOC to pay off your home. You have liquidity. You have options that most people in America do not have. If any of this sounds good to you, click the link below. I'm going to meet with you. I'll be thrilled to meet with you. And let's take care of it for you. See ya.